now the arts in Hawaii with Donna Blanchard.
Thank you, Jay. Welcome to ThinkTech, raising public awareness about technology, energy, globalism, and diversification. As part of the ThinkTech series, today's show is The Arts in Hawaii. I'm your host, Donna Blanchard, Managing Director of Kumukuhua Theater, and joining me today is my guest, Christen Hepuakoa Marquez. I'll make sure I pronounce that correctly. Today we're going to talk about Christen's film, Haku Inoa. Remember, we broadcast live on the internet from 2 to 5 every weekday. All of our shows are streamed on ustream.tv and Spreaker.com. If you want links to our live streams or our previous broadcasts, just go to thinktechhawaii.com. If you'd like to join us in our downtown studio for any of our shows, just write to j@thinktechhawaii.com. Christen Hepuakoa Marquez holds a BFA in film and video production from New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. In 2011, she produced the narrative feature film Two Shadows, which went on to win the Audience Choice Award for Best Feature Narrative at the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. She was has recently completed directorial debut feature documentary in partnership with PBS Hawaii on an hour-long program called Haku Inoa, and that's what we're going to talk about today, To Weave a Name, which was nominated for Best Documentary at the 2013 Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. And the film will be broadcast on public television in Hawaii in October of 2013. It's here at the HIF Film Festival right now, and we'll get into some dates in a little while. She is an alum of the in 2011 she was awarded through the Soul of an Artist grant for artistic innovation by the Native Arts and Cultures Foundation, and was part of the CPB PBS Producers Academy. And her previous work has been supported by Cal Humanities, the Independent Television Service, and Pacific Islanders in Communications. It was Leanne Ferrer of Pacific Islanders in Communications is a friend of mine, and I saw her at a little soiree for the film festival on Friday, and I said, Leanne, I'd really like to have one of the filmmakers on my show, and she ran over and got Christen and brought you to me, and I am so very glad that she did. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
I love
Thank you for having me here.
Oh yeah, did you just thank me?
Yes,
for being
I did.
Here? You're welcome.
Both.
Oh, let me say something really quickly. I have to. Last night I went to see Turandot, and when I got to the theater, I ran into a friend of mine, Albert, and a friend of his with him said, "Oh, I've seen your shows." That was the first time I've ever had anyone that I didn't know say, "I've watched your shows."
That's
Cindy
cool.
MacArthur, thank you. It made my week. Okay. And you're not feeling nervous at all or really, really excited about the screenings coming up about your film?
I'm starting to feel more excited, but
You really should be. Your film is something very, very special. And I'm kind of a snob when it comes to, well, you know, when you work in the entertainment business, I think you can spot dishonesty a mile away, and there's so much heart in your work. It's very, very beautiful. Would you like to give us a synopsis of the film?
sure. So my film, Haku Inoa, To Weave a Name, is basically, it's a personal documentary about me returning home to Hawaii to learn the meaning of my extremely long, like 60-plus letter name from my estranged mother.
And that brings you to gain a new perspective on your estranged mother?
Yeah, and myself ultimately. Initially when I had started the film, I went into it very much attached to this idea of learning the meaning of what my name was. But I realized through the process that it wasn't really exactly about learning the meaning of my name. It was more about reconnecting with my mom and how, healing the relationship between us not only helped her, but also really helped me be able to center myself.
Yeah. So, as children, you and your two brothers moved to Seattle with your father, and your mother's mental stability was questioned. Was questioned strongly, legally.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I agree that there was. I mean, she was having issues at that time, and I think the part that I was kind of thinking about on the way over, you know, when somebody has, you know, issues with mental health, that's already kind of a hard thing to deal with. But then when you know, within a family, when you kind of layer on top of that there might be people trying to treat you in a way that might not feel comfortable to you. I mean, and that really applies to anyone, not just a Hawaiian person. You know, it's a hard, mental illness is a difficult, and mental wellness is a difficult problem. So, I mean, in the film, I kind of look at it, I don't want to, you know, approach it from this cultural kind of like indictment, you know, approach. It's a difficult thing, and you know, I wanted to just try and open the dialogue of how can we be more, how important it is to be more culturally sensitive. You know, I mean, obviously I want to advocate for Native Hawaiians, but you know, it's an issue that really affects everybody. Well, I think.
Absolutely. I think that it's easier to define mental wellness than it is to define mental illness. The more we learn, the more complex, the thinner that line becomes, I think.
Yeah.
And so growing up, what did you know of your mother? How old were you when you moved away?
I was about 8.
8. So your Hawaiian hair, your Hawaiianness. You had an opportunity to spend some time with your mother's twin sister. Yeah, but that wasn't until later, was it?
Yeah, for a time I did live with my mom's twin sister, my Auntie Linda, which it's their birthday today, so happy birthday to my mom and my Auntie Linda. Yeah, I did for a time live with my aunt, and that was, I don't necessarily think, it wasn't like an extremely cultural Hawaiian experience other than, you know, just regular things. But my Auntie Linda is a hula dancer, whereas my mom graduated as a kumu hula, so she kind of had like a little bit of a higher or a deeper connection to it than my aunt did.
So what sparked, what made you, how did the idea begin to do this film?
But I usually say, I mean, the most truthful answer really is that it's been started since I've been born. You know, since it's a personal documentary, so really all of my life experiences have led up to the final product, which, you know, and then obviously my life will continue on after the film. So, you know, this is really just kind of like focusing on a chapter in my life. But the more, I guess, concrete answer is that I've been solely dedicated to making the film for the last 4 years. Although I have been working on other things, but really very focused on
that one
this.
you've been very focused on. I mean, we all have those stories, but I've never thought, I want to make a documentary about, you know, what I'm saying. So you studied film in school?
Yeah.
But to take something this personal, there must have been you must have had some conflict moving into that decision.
I actually think that it made it in a lot of ways a lot easier for me. I think that a lot easier to deal with these problems. You kind of have a shield, and you also have a motivation, do you know what I mean, to see something all the way through. Like, especially when times get rough, if you've already invested 2 years of your life into making this project, you know, you really don't have a choice to back out. You know, you have no choice. So you have to see that through. Whereas, you know, maybe if I had kind of just on my own decided like, I need to reconnect with my mother, you know, for our mental wellness, you know, it might have been easier for me to drop off. And I mean, I definitely think that for me, making films is a way that sometimes I get to know people that way. I, investigate a subject that I'm interested in. I mean, that's how I continue to be able to learn and explore is through film. So I think that lends well to documentary, actually, because, in a way, it's not something that I already know the outcome. I'm learning along the way, and it kind of, like, whatever I find interesting along the twists and the turns, like, the documentary really follows that. So that kind of naturally builds the drama, I think.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone speak so clearly about art as a tool in their lives. Because usually we talk about art as an expression. It's an expression for the artist, and it's something that affects the people who view it. It builds good conversation fodder. Maybe you learn a little something about yourself. It gives you some introspection or understanding of the other. But I think this is the first time, and I wasn't expecting you to say that. Kudos to you for having that ability. And the wherewithal to have taken that step. So, when you and I spoke yesterday, and I said, is there anything in particular you want to talk about or not talk about it? You said that you did not want to say your full Hawaiian name. And it is how many letters are in your full Hawaiian name?
It's been and this is part of the reason why I don't really want to say it anymore. During the making of the film and also afterwards, my mom kind of, she'll add things or say like, oh, well, actually, I never really wrote this part down, like things like that. So, since the beginning of like writing treatments, I've said 63 letters, but I think it's actually a few more than that, or give or take. So, and also I'm not sure if I was counting okinas at that point. If I did, I might not have known the difference to count those as letters. At that time when I first started. So yeah, 60 plus is definitely long.
So that's why you'd rather not say the actual name, or is there more?
I mean, there's more to it as well. I mean, when I first started making the film, I think to really boil it down, to say like, oh, I'm interested in learning the meaning of my name. That's the impetus for this film. People would be like, oh, well, what's your name? And they want to see something that's going to make them say like, whoa, oh, okay, well, yeah, I see how that's a film. And when you plop down like Christen, Hepuakoa, etc., Marquez, Hendershot, they're like, oh, okay, I guess that is a story, But in terms of like my Hawaiian name or some Hawaiian names in general, I know that they have, there's this idea that they have like mana in them, and that, it can be like every time you say the name, it's something that you're evoking, and it should be something that's, that's kept sacred in a lot of ways. And I always knew that was something, like I always felt a little like bad about just parading the name out there. Not to say that it's not something that I'm proud of, but it's something that will. So I guess that's part of it. Yeah. So now I think that the film is finished, and really the film is the explanation of the name. So it's like, for me, or an explanation of the name, because it's going to be evolving. But, I think.
And there's a lot of mana in the film.
That.
Yeah. But we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. This is The Arts in Hawaii. I'm Donna Blanchard, and I'm talking with Christen. Oh, I didn't look at it. I'm sorry. Hold on for just a moment. Hepuakoa Marquez, and we'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is Dan Bauer, and I'm the general manager of the Plaza Club. The Plaza Club is Honolulu's premier business club. We're located in the heart of the financial district on historic Fort Street Mall. On the 20th and 21st floors atop the Pioneer Plaza, our commanding skyline views, along with our award-winning cuisine and service, are known as the place to do business downtown. We offer professional as well as social events and programs to our members and their guests, all tailored to enrich their professional and personal lives and to give them the cutting edge that they deserve in business. Why don't you consider becoming a member of the club? Call me at 531-7788 or come see me and let's talk business and how the Plaza Club can work for you. Again, my name is Dan Bauer. I'm the general manager of the club, and I'm here for you. Hello.
And now, more of the arts of Hawaii with Donna Blanchard.
Hi, we're back and we're live, and I am talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez, and we're going to get back to the film. So let's say the name of the film again, Haku Inoa, and I want to make sure that we say this several times. It is at the Hawaiian International Film Festival on Thursday, October 17th at 5:45, Saturday, October 19th at 7:15.
Okay.
And then it will also be aired on Hawaiian television on October 24th on PBS. Yeah?
8
And
p.m.
at 8 p.m. Thank you. And there's an OEV TV.
Oh, actually, OEV Film Festival, which is at the Bishop Museum.
Oh, at the Bishop Museum.
Yeah.
Do you know when that is?
That's in November. I'm not exactly sure what the screening dates are, but
in November. Okay. And there's a website.
yeah, if you look up the OEV Film Festival, you can possibly find the film there.
We'll find it there. Okay, good. Want to make sure that we say that because I cannot stress enough. I think it's a really beautiful film. I think that it is. As a viewer of art, it's very moving. As an artist, I wanted to stand up and cheer for you. Really. And as someone who lives here in Hawaii, I think it is important for all of us. I think it's important for everyone to see across the nation.
Tell the world.
It's important to tell the world, but I think that it would be particularly poignant for members of the host culture. Hawaiians should. I want to stand up and cheer for you as well. Yeah. So let's talk about the journey of the film. So you somewhere along the way, and I got a lot of life stories too, but I've never said I'm going to make a documentary about that. You have this piece that you were brave enough to say, I'm going to approach my mother that I haven't spent time with since I was 8, and here's how I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I thought while I was watching the film was, there's someone operating a camera there too. Mm-hmm. And as we all know from The Real Housewives, it's difficult to be a real person when there's a camera there.
Yeah.
So let's go all the way back. How did you approach your mom and your family? Because there's appearances from your brothers, your father, your auntie, and your mom. Mm-hmm. How did you originally come to everyone with the decision that you wanted to do this?
Well, initially, I always envisioned the film on PBS, like national broadcast. So that was something that I really came from the very beginning with that. And initially it wasn't that we had a big crew or anything. It was really just me. And it's kind of funny because there are shots in the film where I shot me and my mom. So I would set it up. I would set up the camera, frame it, kind of do one of these, like, or flip, they would have LCD flip screens. And I would flip the screen so I could see if we were in frame and that kind of thing. So I would. There was a lot of that, especially at the beginning, and not all of that footage made it in, but that's how we did it at first. Or I would. The very first thing I did was actually send a mini DV camera with my aunt and just a sheet of paper questions to ask my mom. So that was, I guess, tape 1 of Haku Inoa. And that's not in the film, but it's part of the research and part of the development of that relationship again. And I think that my mom didn't really take it seriously. That she never thought that me with my little handycam could ever make anything that would be on national television. So. Which isn't, it was maybe more realistic than what I had in mind. I think about that now and it's like, that's actually it's kind of an insane thing to think. But, I guess I was right in the end. So. And that's why we want to stand up and cheer. Yeah. You really took this piece of honesty and transformation. You and your mom both go through a pretty amazing transformation. We have the privilege of witnessing. Yeah. And that was what was kind of frustrating sometimes for me, at least sometimes from a cultural standpoint. I would talk to people about making this film, and it made people really nervous because they were like, well, you have to figure out what the resolution of this before you show it. Mm-hmm. Because people were worried about exposing things, like, and rightfully and understandably so. But I think at least the film, through its journey, I show. I mean, obviously, you couldn't have done this movie if you waited until I had reconnected with my mother fully. It's not about that. It's about the process. So, and it's about, just that honesty of that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and for me, that's the kind of films that I really love. People like Ross McElwee were, I love personal documentaries. That's the genre that I really love. So, and I just had never seen one that was by anyone Hawaiian. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to do one.
Then it should be you.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to and hope to see more in the future. I meet so many people with great, amazing personal family stories. And in fact, I know of ones that are in development now, and I can't wait to see them as well.
Yeah. There is a lot, I'm sure there's a lot that ended up on your cutting room floor that we naturally there's a line I'm sure that you passed over many times. I'm trying to spit this out because of being Hawaiian and what is going on here on these islands, on this archipelago. How consciously, how actively did you have to make those decisions? Yes, this stays, this is offensive, this may be offensive, this...
I mean, I really felt like I'm not speaking for Hawaiians. We're a diverse people with many different kind of places, stations, beliefs. So I was really just to kind of avoid that entirely, not entirely, but avoid a lot of those problems that can happen. I did choose to just stick with, this is the story of me and my mother. And there are implications for larger things, and those were issues that I wanted to touch on, and that's why I included, experts like Aukahi Austin and Keawe Kukulakula, because they've been doing research and work in communities in areas of mental health for years and years and years. And I wanted to kind of like touch on the places that my story intersects with that larger kind of narrative of cultural trauma, of, separation from land, separation from culture, like oppression, all of those things. Because, I do think I do see myself as part of that legacy. And there's a spectrum of how much it affects everyone, and I fall somewhere on that spectrum.
Thank you for answering so much more eloquently than I asked the question. Where do you see, so you're going to all of these different film festivals, do you feel that the bulk of this piece is being recognized?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've played in festivals in Los Angeles, San Francisco. We're going to have a screening in Seattle, which I'm really excited about. San Francisco was really, really great because I don't actually really know a ton of people in San Francisco. I know a few people, but all these people came out, and I'm not exactly sure where they came from, but I think there are a few halal that knew about it and heard about it and came out, and it was really cool to see, that diaspora story, the diaspora part of things really connect with people, and people were just like, it's great to like have somebody talking about that longing that some Hawaiians feel for back home, but like not really being kind of lost and not knowing how to reconnect and how to like what exactly that feeling is, because it's sort of a strange feeling that maybe not everyone can understand.
Yeah. What a gift to have that name to lead you on the quest.
Absolutely.
That's a gift. And your dad was behind this, cheering you on the whole way.
Yeah, and I would, since I was a kid, I would ask my dad what my name meant, and he knew enough to say that he didn't know, and that he says the way he used to explain it is that my mother never told him because she was afraid she was probably afraid that he would screw it up. So like, I don't know, I have no idea what it means. Like if you know, and he knew about like the idea of like Haku Inoa, like the person who makes your name is the one that kind of puts all this mana'o or thought into it, and like really, you know, you can get somebody to translate it or whatever, but you don't, you know, because Hawaiian words have so many multiple meanings and kind of kauna, you know, like poetic hidden meanings or relationships between the words, that you need to talk to the person who made that to get that special insight onto, you know, and that goes for obviously for songs, for poetry, for anything like written, you know, in Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
More so, I think, than other languages.
You can't look at a Hawaiian name and say, "Oh, little tree."
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, and that is one level of it. You know, that's a level of the name. But there are most likely deeper levels as well.
Yeah. So, this doing the film brought you obviously closer with your mom, and you've continued that relationship. That's really beautiful. And you continue to work on other projects as well. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Do you is the other work that you've done personal as well?
No, not as much. I'm really, for now, I think this was good. This is good enough for that. You know, and not to say that I wouldn't come back to personal. I mean, if you want to get really philosophical, I guess, you know, everything you do as a creative person, I think, has some kind of level of personal resonance, but definitely not to the extent that this does.
Yeah, I mean, if you have one of these stories in a lifetime, I think that's good. I think that, this is quite a journey for you.
To go back to Ross McElwee, I'm not Ross McElwee. I can't make 6 personal films about my life.
Yeah. And at the screening on the 17th, your mom and dad are going to be there?
My mom is going to be there. My dad is going to be there on the 19th.
Okay. And your Aunt Linda?
Is going to be at both.
At both.
Yeah.
So people will have an opportunity to see the film, and there will be a Q&A after on the 17th. And on the 19th, there's a televised Q&A after that? How is that different?
Oh, actually, on the 17th and the 19th, those are both Hawaii International Film Festival screenings. So there'll be in-theater Q&As after both of those films, or both of those screenings. And then on October 24th, there's, after the broadcast of the film on PBS Hawaii at 8, there will be a broadcast Q&A at 9. So they're going to be broadcasting the Q&A on television.
Okay.
And there'll be a small in-studio audience for that. And if people are interested, I don't know who they could necessarily contact, but you know, maybe they could contact me and
you.
I can forward them on.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll talk about how to get a hold of you about that. I'm Donna Blanchard. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the ThinkTech digital series. I'm talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez, and we'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo. Hello.
And now, more of the Arts in Hawaii with Donna Blanchard.
Hi, we're back and we're live. I'm Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukuhua Theater, and I am talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez about her film Haku Inoa, To Weave a Name, which is her journey back to Hawaii and her mother to learn the meaning of this very meaningful, rich name that you have. Okay, so and now let's talk about the actual, we sort of went through the steps in your life. Can we talk about the actual steps of the filmmaking process?
Sure.
So you started off by, did you have an ultimate goal? Did you have any idea where this was going to go?
Yeah, I was always really just targeted, like laser focused at that like hour-long broadcast for PBS. I mean, I really wanted to get on. There's 2 series on PBS called Independent Lens, and another one called POV. And I really had hoped to get programmed on those. Unfortunately, I fell a little short of that goal. I didn't get programmed on either one, which was sad for me. But
Yet.
no, they turned me down. It's okay.
Oh,
I'm over it.
okay.
Yeah, so it was, I was disappointed, but at the same time, I'm still going to get a national broadcast, and that's fine and awesome. I mean, that was really, at that time when I was aiming for it, I didn't understand that you could have a national broadcast without being on those series. It's very beneficial to be programmed within those series because you sort of, there's a package of, promotion and things, et cetera, that goes along with it. But, I'm lucky because I have a lot of support from Pacific Islanders and Communications, and they're going to help me get it out there. And, in a way, it's good. I'll be able to learn how to do that kind of PR and outreach work within the public television system for myself. So
it's a positive.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be able to make a positive of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not bummed about it.
Yeah. So did you have some kind of, you gathered the footage, did you have some sort of storyboard to begin? Or did you gather the footage and then piece together the puzzle?
It was it's kind of an iterative process, especially the way the public television funding is. You kind of start off with a work sample trailer, and so you'll make something that's like between 5 to 7 minutes, and then you'll submit that, and you scrape together funding and that sort of thing. And then once you get a little bit more, then you can shoot more and make something longer. And then, it's sort of a way to, with long form documentaries, for people to say like, oh, okay, that's good, I could see more, and then like to give you more money.
And then we'll help you out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that was one thing I think that actually surprised me about the process. I did expect that, okay, I'll just go and shoot and then I'll be done. And that wasn't really how it was, at least for this project. And I think because it was a more, I guess, longitudinal project, where you do have to, this evolution of the relationship between my mother and I took place over several years. So it wasn't something ever that was really realistic to think that you could cover within a month.
Yeah. Do you think if the funding hadn't continued, the building of the relationship might have been stunted?
I wonder. I do. I wonder.
Well, you owe those people a thank you note.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's, and I think that, for me, that's why I think it's important that I was always thinking of this process is doing a lot of good for me and my family, but I hope that it also does some good for other people as well. So I always have had that in the back of my mind, and I'm still continuously working for that.
Yeah. So what was the journey from the length of time from start to beginning?
I guess when I started writing grants or proposals, treatments, that sort of thing, and searching for funding, it was actually quite a while ago. So it was probably about 2006, maybe even further back.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually went through the ITVS, that's the Independent Television Services. That's a major funding branch of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? Yeah. So many acronyms. So I actually went around and around with them like 3 times, and each time you apply, you actually have to wait a year. So it can really stall your project. But once you get it, it's really nice. So.
Yeah, that can be a problem with grant proposals, is that
if you miss.
Fired up, and here's my timeline, and then everything waits. So, and you wrapped just this year, or?
No, I actually wrapped in July of 2011. So, it does sound, I feel like when I tell people, I started really seriously in 2009, that sounds like, ooh, it's a long time, but it's actually been sitting for about a year, waiting for festivals to start, just in terms of where I lay in the festival calendar. And, like a lot of people will submit to Sundance in the fall and wait to see if they get in, and if they don't, well then, because the whole issue with premiere status and film festival circuits and etc.
Well, yeah, you kind of brush over that, but that's kind of a science to figure that out, isn't it? Where do I really want it? I've applied for plays before to be a premiere, and we don't want to premiere that close to Chicago. We want to wait. You can end up being chucked back in a bucket for a while, waiting to go on. So kudos for getting everything lined up on that. And what sort of help did you have with that process? How many people are on the team that are responsible for this?
In terms of writing, the treatments, etc., or?
Yeah, all of it. So give us a picture of.
Well, a huge help was PBS Hawaii. They were kind of my first partner, and really, I think, lended a lot of credence to the project. Robert Pennebacker was the executive producer for the film. He helped a lot with writing treatments, as well did later on. There's another filmmaker, local filmmaker who lives here now, who I actually knew from New York, called Lizette Flannery. She was ITVS kind of provided her to be my mentor in the treatment writing process as well, which was helpful to kind of get going on that initial path.
Can you define treatment?
Sure. For a documentary, there really isn't a script for a documentary. So for most of the proposals and grant things that I've applied for, a treatment would be a 3-page document that just is a general outline of what you think the story of your film will be. And you have to tell it in sort of a spicy manner to make people interested. Or at least, and visually as well. It can't just, it's not like a bullet points. It has to kind of be visually evocative for someone.
Gotcha. Okay, so you had people helping you with the treatments. When it comes to actual camera work, you did a lot of it on your own?
For a while,
and good job, because I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of footage in the final film that other people shot. Okay. So I don't want to give the impression that I shot the film.
Like, that's a really good selfie you filmed.
Yeah. But a lot of this early stuff with my brothers I shot. Like the scene with my brothers he's in a room, and I shot that, and that kind of stuff. Early interviews with my dad and those kind of things.
Oh, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back. This is the Arts in Hawaii. I am Donna Blanchard, and I am talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez. We'll be right back.
We want to thank our underwriters. Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve. Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company. The High-Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state. Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future. Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions. I'm Nicole Horry. Thanks so much for joining us on ThinkTech. I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
And now, here's more Arts in Hawaii with Donna Blanchard.
Hi, we are back, and I am talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez about her film, A Haku Inoa, which is showing at the Hawaiian International Film Festival this week and weekend, and we've got several other dates that we'll go through real quick before we wrap up. So, earlier in the interview, I used the phrase the host culture. And you had a funny little look in your eye, and I love that about you. That you do that, yeah. Because let's talk about it. And I'm still trying to navigate. You know, I came here from the Midwest to work with a theater devoted to telling the stories of the cultures here. Mm-hmm. We don't produce strictly Hawaiian culture shows, but we encourage playwrights on this island and people to write about the cultures here. So I've had a lot of, I got assimilated really quickly stepping into this world in that way, but I'm also still trying to navigate and know there is a host culture here. Mm-hmm. This is something like Native American heritage, that it's difficult for a lot of people to recognize that they were here first. Mm-hmm. I feel very at home with my family in Indiana, mm-hmm. but I know that I have some Native American heritage myself that I'm not very in touch with, and I recognize that someone was here before me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when I use the term the host culture, that's the intention of it.
Yeah, I think it was more about like the context around that you're saying it. I think what you're saying was that E Haku Inoa would be very important for everyone in the host culture, like Native Hawaiian culture, to watch. And I think that made me kind of think. I mean, I think that would be fantastic. I would love that, obviously, but. You know, I don't necessarily look at it like this film has so much to teach people about what it is to be Hawaiian. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like there are a lot of people who can tell me something about what that means, what it is, what it means, the history. You know, there's a lot of people. So I think that was the thing that I was a little like,
where's she going? Okay, gotcha.
You know, not just that I wouldn't want to be so presumptuous to say like, oh, this is like a definitive film on Native Hawaiian experiences.
No, but I think that it's beautiful that you shared your experience outside. I think I would love it if everyone went out to see this. I would wish this is the sort of thing that I hope people back in the Midwest will want to take a look at and learn a lot more than certainly I knew when I came here originally.
Can I say what one?
Yeah,
I think.
Yes.
And I think in that way, I think it's actually. I mean, part of the reason that I made this film is to kind of try and cross the bridge between, experiences of a native, someone who has Native Hawaiian heritage, and relating with a non-native world. And I think, in that way, in some ways, I feel like Haku Inoa it's sort of two movies in one. It has a storyline that has storylines that I think and hope will resonate with Hawaiian people, but also it has another kind of overarching story and that's sort of like more of a mother-daughter relationship that I hope will in turn shed some light for people who may not be, like as you said, as comfortable with acknowledging the fact that this is a place, that Hawaii is a place that had indigenous people here. There was a culture that was here and was is currently in kind of a state of colonialist rule.
Yes. Yeah. That can be difficult to hear, mm-hmm. but that you tie it in with a story that certainly resonates with. How can it not resonate with any woman? Mm-hmm. Even if Absolutely. You're not a mother, you've been a daughter at some point. It certainly resonated with me, and I think that. you're a very strong woman. You speak your mind. That's awesome, and you've been through a really amazing experience. I mean, part of me while watching the movie wanted to say, "Oh, what's so sad." Yeah, that's not you. You don't have a victim, aura about you at all. However, you went through a lot, and you tell the story with such strength that I hope that it would resonate. I hope it will resonate with everyone who sees it. I can't imagine that it wouldn't. But I also think for the host culture, it invites a view of a really unique perspective on what you went through outside of your Hawaiian ohana.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with that. That view is fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it offers a very nice conduit for a story that can touch all of us and also bring a very poignant point of view about what is going on here and now, and what your mom has been through, what your whole family has been through. Okay. Now, let's talk about all of the dates. I want to make sure that we go through all of these. The 17th at 5:45, the 19th at 7:15, and you can get tickets for the film festival by going to, you have links from your website.
Yeah, hif.org, and you can just look up Haku, Haku.
And Haku. And having purchased tickets for some of those shows in the past, I recommend that you get them in advance and arrive early. There can be some lines. It'll absolutely be worth it. It's a very exciting event. There's the photo wall.
Yeah, a lot of bustle in the lobby.
A lot of bustle going on. I can't, I'm excited for you. And then also it'll be part of the Oiwi Film Festival at the Bishop on November 8th, 9th, and 13th. And I imagine people can go to the Bishop website to look at that. Oh, and also people can contact you through the website, through your website, if they are interested in being a part of the Q&A that's going to be televised on the 24th. After the show, the movie is, will that be your television premiere?
Yeah, broadcast
Ooh,
premiere.
how exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited
Party.
about that. Total. So yeah, I mean, you can find more information at paradoxproductions.com or toweaveaname.com, or also on Facebook if you look up Haku Inoa.
Paradox is docs as in word doc.
Yeah, PARADOCS.
DOCS.
Productions.com.
And then also for our friends in California, this is going to be in LA on October 30th at the UCLA campus.
Yep, that's going to be a great screening.
That's very cool.
I'm also Tiana Kahakoila, who wrote a book called This is Paradise, is going to be there as well, reading from her book, so it's going to be cool.
Ah, awesome. You're going to be in San Diego TBA and at the Northwest Film Forum in Seattle on November 16th.
That's correct. Playing with the Haumana, so that'll be fun with Keo Wilford.
I'm really grateful that you came here. I'm honored that you took time out of this busy schedule that you have to come in and talk with us.
Thanks.
And I just wish you all of the best. Yeah, it's a really wonderful story. If you, I hope that you'll take any opportunity you can get to see it. I will be there. I'm
Awesome.
looking forward to seeing it, and I'm going to stand up and cheer for you because that's what I want to do right now. Stand up and cheer.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much. I knew my microphone will fall. Thank you very much for being here. We're out of time. I'm Donna Blanchard, the Managing Director of Kumukuhua Theater. This is the Arts in Hawaii, a digital series on ThinkTech Hawaii. We've been talking with Christen Hepuakoa Marquez. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you also to our production manager, Ian Davidson, our communications director, Chrissy Goffigan, and to Jay Fidel, who somehow puts it all together. Thanks to our watchers and our listeners. To check out previous broadcasts on YouTube, go to thinktechhawaii.com, and please like us on Facebook.
Awesome, I will.
Bye.